to stay successful or become successful as the global champion, we know we need to be diverse when it comes to products, we need diverse services, and we need diversity in business models. And to do all of that, of course, we need diversity in people. It's essential that we grow our ability to capture the skills of all the people in our group and to really leverage on the collective intelligence that we have. So when TRATON Group was created, it was from proud brands, from different cultural contexts, and with different corporate cultures. And if we are going to be successful, we need to be excellent at making the best out of these differences, using it to go forward. And I can't resist, David, I know you've been working in Scania and in MAN and in TRATON. What is your experience from merging cultures?
As anyone understands, it can be extremely challenging to merge cultures. And it's not about that some of us like to wear lederhosen and drink beer. It's much more difficult than that.
Or eat
Even though I actually like lederhosen and beer as well. I'm learning this at MAN. But it's much more about the way we think. We started out in this collaboration talking about what do we want to do together? How can we bring benefit to the customer in the best way? And then we started discussing how do we do this? But when we really get successful is when we start talking about how we think. Because this is where we can join forces and we can combine our strengths and think the same way. And that's good for our customers.
Great, thanks a lot. Sounds good. So, in order to achieve this to a higher extent, we are totally committed to what we call pluralism and inclusion. Now, pluralism is a term not often used in this context, but it's carefully chosen by us to signal that we mean, of course, gender and nationality when we talk about diversity and pluralism, but we also mean cognitive skills, personality, different educational backgrounds. So we mean something much bigger than what diversity is usually meant. But we also underline inclusion. Without inclusion, we don't benefit from diversity. Inclusion for us means creating psychological safety, enabling everyone to participate as they really are. And this is a super important thing for us. We are developing many different modules, also in this context, to take this from theory to practice. And we are doing this to a very high extent to be really good at relating to customer needs, understanding customer needs, and being good partners in collaboration. And here, Patrick from InBev, if I may ask you, could you just share with us what is valuable from your perspective when you choose collaboration partners?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for the question. I think I alluded to it a little bit before. I think if you strive to take the collaboration to the next level, it goes beyond the table stakes of quality, reliability, and service. It requires you to kind of show the leap of faith in terms of opening up your operations, your ways of working, and your practices to us as a customer. But also, as I said earlier, for you to kind of really show an active and proactive and continuous interest in our emerging needs, but also in the emerging needs of our customers, because it's changing and it's changing very, very fast. So I think that's a key word: transparency, trust, working together, proactive engagement, and really show an interest in what we do to take that back. And then once we understand that together, how do we go about it together, and how can we be part of your creative processes? Because you have lots of great capabilities. We have lots of great capabilities. But I think together, it's only when we mold it together that we can really excel. Yeah, I think in the project we're working on together here in Brazil, we also bring things to the party. Of course, we understand or should understand the applications better and work with you on that. But there are also other components like energy. I think we're managing energy globally. It's critical for us from a sustainability and cost perspective. So I think also there we can contribute, and probably many other areas as well. So it's about openness and collaboration.
Great, thanks a lot. And this also underlines another big difference that we are, because we are convinced that this is, I think we come from a history where pluralism and inclusion was a compliance topic. We did it not to discriminate. We did it to follow rules and regulations. But what we are convinced in TRATON is that this is also a critical aspect of being successful. And it's underlined with what you are saying, Patrick, I think, that we need to be able to relate, cooperate, and really include everyone in order to cooperate well. It's of course also a culture and mindset change journey that we are embarking on. So it's super important for us to include all of the colleagues in the TRATON group and also customers and partners of all kinds on our journey to become better in this. It's also, of course, the skill capture perspective overall. By using the collective intelligence of all of the colleagues and partners, obviously we are going to become much more successful in this. Taking it then from theory to practice, because this is really something we work intensely with in the group. We have developed, as I said, many different modules. The biggest one is called skill capture, which is a workshop concept that we do with all the managers in the group. They look into their business future and see what kind of abilities do they need in pluralism and inclusion. From this, they then analyze the current state. And then, from a gap analysis, they take decisions on local actions to be implemented straight away. Through this, we create a wave of nudges, you could say. So change happens everywhere, and it's super important because to us this is an iterative journey which is followed intensely by track board and brand boards, where we are constantly monitoring and continuing to develop. We also have something developed in MIN called the MIN Skill Capture for Inclusive Leadership, which is aiming at supporting managers to really become good at creating psychological safety and including people as they are to really become creative and innovative. We are also developing something that I'm really looking forward to, which is a project team skill capture kickoff. When we do cross-brand projects, or even when we do partnership work, we really want to enhance the cooperation from the start. Just would like to share with you a concrete example that came from a Scania commercial unit. They did the skill capture lab and they decided that they would like to open up for all the colleagues in this unit to take skill tests of different kinds. The top scorer for numerical skills in this commercial unit was actually a person at the time working as a receptionist. So with some support in developing these skills, this person is now working in the finance department. And that's, I think, a really good example of finding talent in unexpected places and really making a use of that. So, as someone said recently, it's not always easy. I think it was you, David. It is challenging at times. We are different, but that's the point. We want to make use of the difference. And by becoming really successful in that, I think we will stay successful in a rapidly changing business environment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sofia, for sharing these insights with us and also for sharing some of the tools and concepts we're using to make this work. Roberto, what she's sharing opens up some new possibilities for us on how to work together efficiently, right?
That's right. And Sofia, thanks for sharing with us your experience. The good thing is that we have a TRATON very good talent, and David, and I know that you have something to tell about how we work together with this to develop this group talent. Please, David.
Yes, we are working multi-brand, multinationally in this group, and of course that has some of the problems mentioned already. But one quite special challenge is how do we bring together the talents? How do we bring together and challenge the talents in a group like this so we can get a forward momentum and develop ourselves as a group? The answer to that is our group talent development programs. The strategy is threefold. We want to ensure visibility of key talents across the brands. The second is to make sure that we have a structured way of exchanging these talents across the brands. It's not enough to stay in one brand. You need to develop also across the brands. And third, and not least, is to impart the skills that are critical for being a global champion. Now, these programs, they target top talents on many different levels in the company, in the group. Always with group perspective in focus. It's important that we impart our key talents in the brands also with a perspective of group. Group before brand. That's how we become successful together. We need to build a skill set focused on cross-brand cooperation. This is in the end not only about developing people, even if that's important. It's also about developing and extending a global network for cooperation within the group.
Okay, David, we are approaching the end of this section, and I hope that we could pass to you that TRATON is eager to collaborate in all fields of our business. We brought here some example on how we collaborate with our key customers. With the e-consortium modular announcement, it's also another example how we collaborate with partners, and with everything that was said here, for instance, the Rhino components, how we collaborate with the groups. And also how important are the people in our organization, and I think that's also gives us example how we treat people. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us, and now we are open for questions and
Yes.
most likely answers. Thank you.
If anyone has a question, raise your hand and you will be handed a microphone.
Vocês podem fazer pergunta em português que eu traduzo se for preciso. I just said that they can ask in Portuguese, myself, Bernard and Rodrigo, we translate to the others.
Já aqui?
Você ajuda, Bernard?
Oi? Ah, tá. Ah, é que okay. So, I'm Paula, I'm from Brazil, and I wanted to ask Cortes and everything. So, you're joining like a Brazilian company, European company. Since we're talking about diversity, how was this process of merging Brazilian and European company in trucking?
The big advantage is that we have alternatives. You know very well our production concept, which we depend a lot on the Brazilian suppliers, on the engines, on the transmissions, and so on. And now we have a much bigger selection options within the group. It was mentioned here that sooner we are going to have engines, a new generation of 13-liter engine, which will also benefit from that. You have the example of the Rhino powertrain, which is also an option, and for us, it's the best of the world. You can choose what is best for the customer, what is the best for cost-wise and for synergy.
I think this is also an area where the rest of us can learn from Volkswagen Caminhões and Ônibus, because you have a long-standing relationship already with MAN, so it's not new, and with Volkswagen, and you also are used to making a lot of customer benefit out of a limited portfolio and sharing knowledge within and outside the group.
That's correct.
And that's a role model for also the rest of the companies in this group.
Oi, Cortes, é o Márcio aqui da Autodata. Cortes, a minha pergunta é a seguinte, ainda dentro dessa questão de como gerenciar esse consórcio elétrico, tá? Você mesmo falou aí agora da parceria com a Rhino, que é uma empresa japonesa, se não me engano, não é isso? Na IAA do ano passado a gente já tinha o e-delivery com motor elétrico da Scania. e você está colocando a WEG para operar lá no Brasil. Como é que vai ser o gerenciamento dessa coisa? Qual vai ser o papel da WEG dentro da tua fábrica, por exemplo?
So, Marcio, this show how flexible our products are. So we have developed, and Rodrigo, come here, which was the father of this model, a totally flexible product which we can use, for instance, Vega engine or P160 from the group or from the Rhino. So what we have today in the Consortium Modular is WEG engine, and what we have here is a concept to show that we can be flexible.
Exactly. We have today in the morning presentation where it was presented the TRATON modular kit. You may benefit by using different components, but you have to safeguard that in the architecture the interface will be the same. And if you make a kind of analogy with the Lego piece, they have a standards interface where we can pick, choose, and plug, and the system will work properly. We are making the integration in this way to take the best of all of the worlds. Now we can leverage from the cost from a supplier that's local established, that can bring a good value proposition and also can run with the maintenance, and also having the interface where we can adapt the components in the truck without needing to start a new development on that.
Deixa eu complementar a pergunta. A WEG, ela vai montar qualquer tipo de motor que vocês produzirem no Brasil? Se vocês produzirem um caminhão para importar, o motor da Rhino, vai ser a WEG que vai ser responsável por colocar esse motor da Rhino dentro do caminhão?
Those are two different things. One is the partner we have in the supply of components, and WEG today is selected as the provider of the engine, but does not automatically says that they are going to be the producer of engine. This we are still discussing on the assembly who will be responsible, because we can also have motor, for instance, assemble everything from the battery until all the electrification. We are still defining that. One thing is clear, WEG is, and the Ambev truck, the 1600 will be powered with WEG electric engine.
Okay, our time is up. If you have any further questions, you're welcome to approach any of us in between the sessions.
Thank you for the attention.
Thank you.